wish my camera would go up higher today. It's like being weird. Okay. Anyway, hi everyone. I am sorry I've been a little missing in action lately, but for the past 2 weeks I have been fasting. So the first week I did water fasting, and the second week I have been doing fasting mimicking. So if you guys are interested in fasting, you probably heard about the fasting mimicking diet. That is kind of pretty recent out there as far as the explanation and the experiments that have been done and all of that. Fasting mimicking supposedly gives you the same effects of the benefits of regular water fasting, except you do take in a very small amount of food. So there is a commercial business out there who's selling you prepackaged foods. I decided, because I'm much more of a do-it-yourselfer, so I decided to research it more for myself and figure out how I could do it at home without paying over $250 for essentially, a lunchbox filled with food for 5 days. I also wanted to keep it keto because I really believe that my body really functions better without a whole lot of carbs. I have more mental clarity. I just feel better physically. And so there was a guy who actually also did keto fasting mimicking, and he had pretty good results. I think he just did it for 4 days though, and I did it for 5. Today's like my 6th day, but I don't know yet what I'm gonna do. I've only had black coffee today, so I might go for regular fasting, water fasting, or I don't know yet. So we'll see. I'm not even hungry. I'm not even thinking about food. I'm like, well, we'll see later. Let me tell you about my personal results with fasting mimicking. So as far as weight loss goes, I only lost 3 pounds. So that's not a lot. But then fasting mimicking isn't really done for the weight loss that it causes. It's more so done for the benefits of fasting, having the benefits, the cell regeneration and all the good things that are going on in the body, while you're still able to eat a little bit of food. So if you're curious about the fasting mimicking diet, you can certainly try it. I would definitely recommend that you are already fat adapted when you do it, when you try it, because it's much easier. The detox symptoms aren't really there. I mean, essentially I didn't have any detox symptoms because I had done a water fast the week before, so it was like smooth sailing for me, because all of a sudden, I can actually eat a little something. So what did I eat? I ate probably not more than 500-600 calories per day for the 5 days, and they were essentially fat calories. So basically like a cup of coconut milk that has very, very high fat, a couple of avocados, some nuts. So that's basically what I had. I had also organic raw tahini, which is ground up sesame seeds, which has a very, very high fat content as well. So in the original fasting mimicking diet, the proportion of carbs is slightly higher. The protein is still low and the fat is high, but the carbs are up there quite a bit. And I didn't want to do that, especially since I was doing the water fasting. I got over my detox symptoms for that the second day. I didn't want to go back to that, to that carb reload and everything, because we know how we are when we get on carbs and we feel that, that hangry and all of that. So overall, what I thought about the fasting mimicking diet was, let's say compared to water fasting, the pros were, yes, you can eat a little food. That makes you kind of feel better. But I did think about food more than I did when I was water fasting, because when you're water fasting, really by the third day, once the third day is over, you don't think about food whatsoever. You're like so over it, and you're onto other things. But I did have more energy on the fasting mimicking diet because obviously I had energy within my system. So I felt perkier. I felt more, energetic. But having said that, I did start feeling more energetic on the water fasting with added electrolytes after the 4th day. So the first 4 days of water fasting, I was, I would say more lethargic. I don't want to say completely lethargic because I wasn't, but I'll do a separate video on water fasting because that's like a whole other beast. But I do think it's definitely worth it if you don't feel like you could go for a water fast because you think that's too extreme or you don't think you could make it through. I would definitely recommend the fasting mimicking diet because they do say that it really can help a lot of health issues. So if you have health issues, I would certainly look into it. I would research it a little bit. And see how you feel about it. I always believe that we should always listen to our bodies no matter what, and our bodies always try to communicate to us. So, of course, I watched a ton of videos about fasting. There's not quite as many as I would think, and there's even less about fasting mimicking. But I read some books from Amazon. There's a couple of different publications about fasting mimicking. But, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information. So I said, you know what? Last week, I had already had my experience with water fasting. I felt very, very comfortable in my body. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I could continue on with that. I actually broke my water fast on Saturday because we went out to Denny's and I wanted to, eat with everyone. So I did. I had the Philly cheesesteak omelet. And that's another thing that's really interesting because you hear for so long, and especially being like in a spiritual community where you're fasting for spiritual reasons, I would say, be very careful with how you break your fast. And here I am watching people break their fast with things like the carnivore diet or eating 500 grams of meat. Or trying to, which you really can't because your stomach gets so small. I mean, you end up getting so full so fast. But they're, going against what tradition says. Like, oh, you have to break your fast with a little broth and then gradually over a week's time work your way back into food. And there are people out there who are not doing that at all. And they're still getting phenomenal results. Another thing that's becoming very, very common, which I'm quite excited about actually, and I plan on trying it starting on Monday, is fasting for 4 days, like straight up water fasting with electrolytes. And the electrolytes are very, very important because you don't want to get cramps, your headache and all of your detox symptoms, like they can be improved by using electrolytes. And you will find various recipes that you could use, like no salt with a little bit of salt, and that gives you potassium, magnesium, and the sodium that you need because your body uses so much potassium in your cells, regardless of if you're eating or not, you need that. And a couple of years back, I did a 21-day fast, and I didn't know about electrolytes, so I just did straight up water. And I'm telling you, by day 7, all I could do was lay on the couch, and my kidneys hurt. My lower back hurt so bad. It was like really excruciating. But I made it through. But it was like a miserable experience, And I thought, I don't want to do that again. So I researched fasting more, and I've been, researching a lot of it and getting into it and really trying to discover how we can have optimal health, how we can increase longevity. And thank God, I've always been very, very blessed with good health. So I'm not really working to resolve any health issues, but my father, for example, has diabetes and it's type 2. And so, I think about him and I think about the way that we eat and how so many Americans, like, it's crazy. It's like it's like one out of, you see the little, it's like 1 out of 3 people either are already diagnosed or will be diagnosed in the future for type 2 diabetes. And it's like, that is completely insane, because type 2 diabetes strictly has to do with the way we're eating. So something is very, very wrong here, and we need to fix that. We can't just say, oh, well, my taste buds want this or that. Like, we have to have more discipline than that. We have to take our health very, very seriously. And the older we get, the more, it's like when you're young, there's so much, you bounce back so quickly. But as you get older, I don't want to be old and decrepit. Like, I want to be healthy. I want to feel vibrant, and I want to feel young in my spirit, and in order to do that, my body, this vehicle that I'm using every single day to live on this earth, I want to treat it with honor. I want to treat it with respect. I want to give it the love that it has always deserved, that sometimes I haven't given it because I've talked negatively to it, or I've blamed it, or whatever, and it's not my body's fault. All my body has been doing, and all your body has been doing your whole life, is try to take care of you. So no matter how roughly you treat it, it still loved you. No matter how much you condemned it, or you condemned a certain body part, or whatever you said to it, your body has still loved you and still served you. So for me, getting back to, kind of cleansing out my system, doing a fast, and really trying to restore my health and letting my body do what it really wants to do, which is that cell regeneration, and eating up those bad, unhealthy cells that are no longer serving me. All of those things are amazing, and I want those benefits, and it's really worth it. If you think about it, you can be disciplined enough to go 5 days and to change your diet in order to get those health benefits. So once again, the fasting mimicking is something I would recommend if you don't feel that you can handle a water fast, which I completely understand. And if you do a water fast, I would recommend kind of breaking yourself in anyways by doing shorter fasts and then getting longer and longer. But I think that fasting in general is something that I am going to incorporate into my life on a regular schedule, because we know from so many different sources and historical sources how very beneficial fasting is to our bodies, to longevity, to our health. So to me, that's what it's all about. It's the mental clarity that comes with fasting is like, it can't be surpassed. It's so amazing. And the spiritual clarity, if you're someone who prays like me, then it's definitely a time to work on your relationship with God and center yourself, align yourself with goodness and the light and everything good and pure. And, it's just like your brain, you get out of that brain. So I was saying that you get out of the brain fog when you do fasting. And that is if it's water fasting or fasting mimicking, either way. So I encourage you to give fasting mimicking a try, especially if you're not so worried about weight loss. If you are more concerned with weight loss, then the water fasting might be easier for you. Or you might want to do a week of fasting mimicking and then move into water fasting. And that would be a great idea because it would be easier, and then you would go through your detox symptoms as well. But like I said in the beginning, being fat adapted is so much better and will be actually a lot better, a lot easier. It will make everything easier because you won't have those intense cravings that are going to overcome you. Way back when I did originally a 21-day fast, I was not fat adapted, and it was really hard the first 3 or 4 days. This time when I did water fasting, the second day was pretty difficult, but I made through. I made it. You know, I made it through. And I actually guess I had done a couple weeks before. I did like a 2-day fast with one of my girlfriends, and she did 3. I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it. I was just like, oh, I'm done, you know? So that's the thing too, you know, just be patient with yourself, and you can work up to doing longer fasts. Like, that's totally acceptable, totally okay, fine. Whatever you do, if you can just do a 48-hour fast, a lot of the great benefits start after 48 hours. But if you can do 48 hours just to start with, then hey, that's okay too, you know? So I hope this video has been helpful to you. I want to encourage you, and feel free to ask me any questions. I'll try to help you if I can. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.